Oh, look at, he's jumping out. Oh my gosh, there he goes. Hey guys, it's Jenny. Welcome back to Solid Gold. Last week you came along with me to the Daytona Reptile Breeders Expo to pick out my new dart frogs, and today you'll see them get added to their new quarantine tank setup and learn a little bit more about these frogs. If you missed last week's video, check out the link in the upper right hand corner. Alright, I got my dart frogs home. There are lots of different types of dart frogs, but these are Dendrobates tinctorius. Tinctorius naturally occur in a variety of different what are called color morphs. There are some that are yellow and black, some that are all blue, some that are yellow, black, and blue like the ones I picked, and still other combinations. The color morph of the ones I got is called Patricia. While they are called poison dart frogs, these frogs are actually not poisonous in captivity, and scientists are fairly certain that a component of the frog's diet in the wild is what enables them to be poisonous. So wild-caught frogs end up losing their toxicity over time, and captive-bred frogs like the ones I got never develop their toxicity. This is their quarantine tank. It's a 20-gallon long aquarium that I was previously using to quarantine some new fish in, and they have since moved into their tank, so this quarantine tank was empty. I bleached it out so it's nice and clean for a clean starting point for their quarantine. This is not sand on the bottom, this is actually unbleached paper towels because the bleached ones have a chemical residue in them that's over time not very good for animals to be exposed to. So I went for the unbleached paper towels. I have a mister here that I'm going to go ahead and wet down the paper towels with. This is 4 layers of paper towels. You really only need like 2 or 3 layers, but I went with 4. And then on top of the moistened paper towels, I have this leaf litter. This is magnolia leaf litter that I'm gonna put down on top of the paper towels. I'm not gonna need a heat mat in this tank because dart frogs like it anywhere between like 74 to 78 degrees. So that's about room temperature here in my house anyway. So I'm not gonna need a heat mat. It actually, if I put one in there, might keep them a little more warm than they like to be, and that could cause problems. So no heat mat, but I do have a temperature gauge in there and a hygrometer. I prefer to use the digital ones, but my local pet store is pretty small and they don't carry a lot of the things that I find that I go in there to look for, so all I could find was the analog versions of those, but they will do for now. At the reptile show I also got some fruit fly cultures. I got 2 of these, and then online I ordered supplies so I can start culturing my own fruit flies. And once I get this down and get into kind of a groove of doing this, I'm going to do like kind of a how-to video for you guys. But for now I just want to show you guys that I also picked up the food for them. And these are flightless fruit flies, so if they do get loose, they're not gonna fly around and infest my house. But you can see already, like here, there is a little fruit fly maggot crawling around. So they actually reproduce in here, and then you can tap them like this to get all the flies to fall to the bottom, and then tap them into an empty cup and dust them with the calcium and D3 supplement, and then feed them to your frogs. So anyways, I got 2 of those. And for starters, to get this tank ready to put the frogs in it, I'm just gonna go ahead and mist it down really good with my mister here. And I have a glass lid on this tank. It's completely covered glass lid, so that's gonna help keep the humidity inside this tank rather than letting that moisture escape. Let's add the leaf litter. The reason I'm choosing to keep this quarantine tank really sterile and simple is because it is just a quarantine tank, and I want to have a sterile environment for the new frogs that can be cleaned out really easily, because I am going to be doing a series of fecal tests on these frogs to make sure that they don't have any internal parasites, because poison dart frogs do best in a setup that is a fully planted vivarium, which is a terrarium that has dirt and live plants and bugs in the soil. So it's kind of like a mini little ecosystem in there that is kind of self-cleaning, because the bugs in the soil help break down the frog poop, and you never really have to clean it out because it's like its own little living ecosystem in there. I have built 2 vivariums in the past. The first was a 29-gallon aquarium that I converted into a vivarium. I'll save the discussion about constructing vivariums for another day. There's quite a lot to cover in that subject, and it's way outside the scope of this video, but if you want a resource for good information, I would check out the Dendroboard forum. Anyways, my first vivarium incorporated a little pool of water with aquatic plants and a waterfall trickling into it, a planted background, and a computer fan concealed within the background to help circulate the air inside the vivarium. Now, as soon as I was done making this vivarium, I almost immediately sold it and started completely over with a new one, because I learned a lot from making this first one, and there were a ton of things I wanted to do better and do differently. So I made my second vivarium from a huge Exoterra tank, and it was complete with a false bottom, bulkhead drilled into the glass to remove excess standing water under the false bottom, an automatic misting system, soil, isopods and springtails, tons of live plants, and a computer fan that was concealed within a fake tree stump I carved out of insulation panels. Now, there are a few things I still would have changed about this second vivarium I built, but overall I was really happy with the way it turned out. However, once I was finished, it wasn't a good time in my life to take on any more pets, so I never ended up getting the dart frogs I had planned on getting, and the vivarium stood empty until I sold it when I moved down to Florida about 2 years ago. And now that I have more time in my life to dedicate to my animals and a newly rebuilt fish room that's almost ready to start putting animals into, I decided that I was finally going to get the dart frogs I've been wanting since 2011. So anyways, the reason why quarantine is so important, even with new animals that are not going to be joining an existing population, is these frogs could be carrying a parasite, which I don't think they are because I'm getting them from a reputable seller, but you can never be too safe with live animals. If I put them into a beautifully set up and planted and complete vivarium, and one of these new frogs brought in some kind of parasite into the tank, in order to get rid of that parasite, I would have to completely break down the new tank, sterilize everything, throw most of the things away because you can't really sterilize dirt and live plants, really, at least not well enough. And then I would have to redo the entire setup. All right, so I still have the lid open, so it's not a very good reading of what it's going to be down the road, but already the humidity gauge, you can see it has jumped up from about, like, I can't remember what it was, I think between 30 to 40 up to between 70 to 80. So we're doing good on humidity so far. I don't think they really need it, but I'm also going to put this little water dish in here just in case. And I'm going to fill it with some of this dechlorinated water from the mister. And I'm not going to fill it all the way, I'm just going to put enough in there to where there's some standing water, because these frogs are tiny. This leaf litter alone is going to provide a lot of cover for them, but to add a little bit more cover and to also add something that's going to help keep the humidity up, I have these cuttings from a pothos plant, and I'm just going to put these in here too. I've rinsed them off. You don't want to put the whole plant in here with the soil and the pot and everything if it's your quarantine tank, because again, that's not an easy thing to sterilize. So you just want to take some cuttings and replace them when they get wilty. But I just have these plant cuttings in there for them to hop all over. Just trying to arrange them in a way that looks nice. Some people, when they're quarantining poison dart frogs, don't even use leaf litter. You really don't need to, but I chose to just because I want to give these guys some more hiding places and things to hop around on, but you really don't need to. Another reason that quarantine is so important for new frogs, especially little tiny baby frogs like these ones, is that if you put these ones into a big, fully planted vivarium, there's going to be a lot more hiding spots in there for them to kind of escape to and hide. And when you put the fruit flies in there to feed them, they're going to have a hard time finding that food. So a smaller setup initially for little baby dart frogs like this actually is a lot better for them than just plopping them into a fully planted and fully set up vivarium. Hi, Sammy. What do you think of the frogs? You don't even know they're there yet, do you? Oh, maybe now you do. So as you guys know, my fish room is currently being worked on, and it's going to include a rack that has 3 terrariums on it, one stacked on top of the other. And one of those terrariums is going to be set up as a planted living vivarium for these poison dart frogs. I don't have that terrarium yet, and the fish room itself is not quite even ready to start adding the tanks to it. But this is actually really good timing for me to get these frogs and start their quarantine, so that by the time I do have the tanks in place out in the fish room, these guys can be added into it without having to wait longer for them to go through their quarantine period and then put them into the vivarium. So their quarantine should be over around the time when the terrarium is going to be arriving and ready for me to start setting it up as a vivarium. Let's add these little guys into their tank here. I'm gonna do this carefully because there actually are some fruit flies in their containers, and I don't really want them getting loose in my room here, so I'm gonna try to be careful about this. You can see there's fruit flies all over the lid of this, but if you just shake them off. Oh, look at, he's jumping out. Oh my gosh, there he goes. So cute. That's awesome. Check it out, little guy. It's your new home. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. I can already tell I'm gonna have so much fun with these guys. They're so cute. All right, let's open the other one. You guys wanna come out too? Come on. There you go. There you go. Come on. Oh, no. Oopsies. Oopsies, sorry. There he goes. Hey, little guys. Oh, you think you're gonna climb up here? Is that what you're doing? Tinctorius are more of a land species actually than a climber. A lot of people think that for dart frogs you have to have an upright, like a really tall vivarium with a small footprint. And tinctorius will climb a little bit, but they're actually kind of a larger poison dart frog as opposed to like the thumbnail frogs, which are super, super tiny, even as adults. And they will climb a lot more, but tinctorius are more of a land species of dart frog. Go on, buddy. Go on. It's like, I don't want to leave my little container. You can't make me. There you go. Go ahead. Oh, he's so cute. They're so tiny. They're so awesome. Wow, you've made it pretty far, little guy. Where do you think you're going? You're not coming up here. I don't think so. He's like, I think so. Look at their blue bellies. That's so cute. Oh my gosh, they're already all hiding. Oh, there's one. You can see him there, hiding in the leaves. They already found all their little hiding spots. Some people actually do have good results keeping one female with multiple males, but adult tinctorius do best in male-female pairs only because the females can become very aggressive with one another to the point where one female may kill another. But while they're young, they do great in groups. So I got a group of 4, which means I will have an 88% chance of getting a male-female pair within this group. They're only 2 to 3 months old now, but once they are about 10 to 12 months of age, they will become sexually mature, and I'll be able to tell which ones are males and which ones are females. So at that point, I'll probably keep a male-female pair, and I'll either separate the other 2 as needed or end up rehoming them.
Tomorrow.
Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed coming along with me to the reptile show and to pick out my new pets. I'm really excited to show you guys more videos of them as time goes on, and I'm sure there will be many more videos all about them, especially as they grow up, and you guys will be able to see them grow up with me, and I'll be able to show you new how-to videos about a different kind of pet other than fish on this channel. So that'll be really fun. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay gold.